Hello, welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History. I'm Claire Ridgway, if you don't know. I'm author of several history books, including this one, which has inspired all of these daily videos. I also run the Anne Boleyn Files and Tudor Society websites. Now, today's video is based on an article that I wrote for the Tudor Society about an event that took place on this day in Tudor history, the 16th of January 1549. It was on this day that Thomas Seymour, who was Baron Seymour of Sudeley and Lord High Admiral, as well as being brother of the late Queen Jane Seymour and brother of the Lord Protector during Edward VI's reign, and husband of the late Queen Catherine Parr, well, he was alleged on this day to have broken into his nephew King Edward VI's apartments at Hampton Court Palace. Allegedly, it was an attempt to kidnap or perhaps even kill the 11-year-old king. Now, Francois van der Delft, the imperial ambassador, recorded the event in a letter that he wrote to Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, on the 27th of January 1549. He wrote, "Sire, I have heard here that the Admiral of England, i.e. Thomas Seymour, with the help of some people about the court, attempted to outrage the person of the young king by night and has been taken to the Tower. The alarm was given by the gentleman who sleeps in the king's chamber, who, awakened by the barking of the dog that lies before the king's door, cried out, 'Help! Murder!' Everybody rushed in, but the only thing they found was the lifeless corpse of the dog. Suspicion points to the Admiral because he had scattered the watch that night on several errands, and because it has been noticed that he has some secret plot on hand, hoping to marry the second daughter of the late king, the Lady Elizabeth, who is also under grave suspicion. On my arrival in England, however, I will write the truth more fully to your Majesty, having nothing now to go upon beyond the information given by those who repeat common report." So he's saying that he's just repeating gossip, really. Another record of the incident is found in a letter dated the 15th of February 1549. It was written by John Bircher in Strasbourg to the Swiss reformer Heinrich Bullinger. He wrote that Seymour had attempted by an unheard of treachery and cruelty to destroy with his own impious hands in the deep silence of the night our innocent king. Bircher then related how Seymour had obtained a key to the royal bedchamber from one of the king's chamberlains, but that things had gone wrong when he attempted to get to the king because Edward's little dog, which was just outside the king's chamber, betrayed the murderer by his barking. Bircher goes on to say that the enraged assassin first killed the dog and, had not God prevented, would have killed his master also. However, Seymour's side of things, what Seymour said was he said he was simply checking that Edward was properly guarded. However, that explanation fell on deaf ears, and he was arrested and taken to the Tower of London. And we all know that it's very hard to get out of the Tower of London and hang on to your life in those times. Seymour confessed to saying to John Fowler, who was a gentleman of the Privy Chamber, that if he might have the king in his custody, as Mr. Paget had, he would be glad, and that he thought a man might bring him through the gallery to his chamber, and so to his house. But he said this meaning no hurt. So Seymour saying that he was trying to get at the king, but he meant him no hurt at all. Seymour had used John Fowler as a go-between between him and the king, sending gifts of money to the king to try and stay close to him because he couldn't see him as often as he wanted to. And it's said that Seymour thought that the Lord Protector was trying to stop him seeing the king, trying to stop his influence on the king. So he was trying to sort of stay close to his nephew. Thomas Seymour was not only accused of trying to kidnap his nephew, he was also accused of plotting to marry the 15-year-old Elizabeth, the king's half-sister, the daughter of Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII, and not only of plotting to marry her, but plotting to put her on the throne. As her husband, he would then have been made sort of Lord Protector while she was in her minority, just like his brother Edward Seymour had been made Lord Protector for Edward VI. So he would have been sort of king in all but name had that happened. Seymour was interrogated in the Tower and examined before the Privy Council, and on the 25th of February 1549 a Bill of Attainder was introduced into Parliament, and lawyers argued that Thomas Seymour's offences were in compass of high treason. The bill was passed on the 5th of March and Thomas Seymour was executed on Tower Hill on the 20th of March 1549. Seems a very, very sad end to someone that had had, a sort of a promising career. It's hard to understand what on earth happened here. Had Seymour been trying to kidnap the king? Perhaps in an attempt to arrange a marriage between the young king and Lady Jane Grey. He had said to Dorset, Jane's father, that Edward would marry Jane if he might once get the king at liberty. So there is a suggestion that he was trying to get at the king so that he could marry him off to Lady Jane Grey. Had Seymour been plotting to marry Elizabeth? Was he a foolish, reckless man that on losing the level-headed Catherine Parr, who died sadly after giving birth to the couple's daughter, did his reckless side take over? Did ambition go to his head? Or was Seymour framed? Was he framed to stop him having influence? Sorry, that's my dog having a drink in the background. The pets like to have their time on video. Was he framed to stop him having influence over the young king? It is impossible to know, when we're so far apart from the events. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this. So please do leave comments below this video. I'd love to know what you think of Seymour and what you think of this On This Day in Tudor History event. So that's today's event. A very sad end to Thomas Seymour that was brought about by him being arrested after supposedly trying to kidnap the king. You can subscribe to these videos with pressing on the button below. I hope you'll be back tomorrow to see my next On This Day in Tudor History video. Take care. Bye bye.